Yeah. Gotta wait for him. I know. I'm writing still on here.
Dominique, welcome. Are you ready to get going? So, we think so. But it's 5:30, we're on live stream, so let's get it started. Welcome. And this is overview presentation of the Community Development Block Grant. No, that's not it. Is that it?
Yep, that's right.
All right, I'm right. I got the right one pulled up here. So, welcome, and it's all yours to give us your presentation.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, City Council. I'm Dominique Moreno. I am the CDB Specialist in Training, and I will be presenting our action plan alongside Carrie Foster, who's via Zoom. She'll be assisting me with any questions that I might not be able to answer during this presentation. No? Hold on, Carrie, it's not going. Okay. To start, a brief overview of our CDBG program. The primary objective of the CDBG is the development of viable urban communities, principally for low and moderate persons. And we do this through decent housing, creating suitable living environment, and expanded economic opportunity. Each funded activity has to meet one of the three national objectives created by HUD. And one, it benefits low and moderate income individuals. Most communities use this objective. Number two is aiding in the prevention or elimination of slums or blight. And then third is addressing an urgent need. An example of that would be if the town was hit by a tornado or a flood. But that has to be directly approved by HUD. Let's see here, next page. The core principles for CDBG are that we do benefit the low and moderate income persons and communities. We involve community participation, and resident engagement is important as it helps identify the city's needs. We leverage with partners and strategic and targeted investment in the community. Let's see here. Sorry, one slide ahead. Eligible CDBG activities include public facilities and improvements. An example would be our streets, curbs, sidewalks, parks, handicap accessibility. Next would be a public service. That's an eligible CDBG activity. These services would be for senior citizens, homeless persons, child care, health services. We also are able to do rehabilitation and homeowner assistance. This provides safe and affordable housing for our low to moderate income residents in the community. We do acquisition and disposition. This is done to support the creation of new rental housing, new homeowner housing for low to moderate income citizens. And the disposition would include surveys, marketing, preparation of documents, and site preparation. The funds can be used by us, or public nonprofits or private nonprofits. Next slide, ineligible CDBG activities. Completely ineligible activities are listed as buildings used for the general conduct of government, general government expenses, political activities, and generally ineligible activities, purchasing of equipment. Example would be buying a van for the senior citizens or maintaining property. We also cannot do direct income payments. So, to follow this leads to the action plan. This happens annually. A quick rundown of this is it is due by August 15th for the city of Caldwell, but we do want to have that done a week or so ahead. This details our actual projects that we are funding for that given year with CDBG funds. It gives insight on continued goals for the city of Caldwell using those funds, participatory process for citizens and stakeholders, and it is submitted annually to receive those funds from HUD. Before the action plan can happen, we create a consolidated plan. This was done in 2021, and this happens every 5 years. This will identify the needs and determines activities and organizations to fund. Components that includes is a large executive summary, lead organization information. We consult and process, or we consult consultation process with stakeholders. We do public meetings and comments together for that plan. We also will be doing a housing and homeless needs assessment, a housing market analysis, and this is considered the 5-year plan that is the strategic plan for the city. Next slide. Our flow to utilizing our CDBG funding. We begin by identifying the needs in our city. The example would be a decent, affordable housing is a priority throughout the state of Idaho. And so that is one thing that we will be focusing on. Goals is next. We want to increase the amount of decent, affordable housing in Caldwell. And the project would be funding for development of new residential housing, which then leads to activities, which is assisting with the acquisition of property for development of multifamily housing. That would all be done completely on the administrative side, which would be what I would do. Here's a look at the current 2023 HUD income limits for Canyon County. These figures do encompass the whole Treasure Valley. It is part of the Boise City HUD Metro former area. And so it is a little bit skewed, but it does show us an average within our area of the Treasure Valley. And if you look at, for example, number of persons in households, so let's take a look at 4 persons in a household. Extremely low annual income would be $30,000. Very low would be $44,000. That would be the CDBG low income, $44,550. And then low annual, 80% of the median is the moderate income, so they could make $71,300 and still be eligible for activities through CDBG. And these were just updated. We wanted to show you how the allocation of CDBG funds for 2023 is looking. Funding is $444,484. A breakdown of what to expect with these funds, $88,897 goes to administrative planning. No more than 20% is allowed through CDBG guidelines. Public services has been allocated $40,000. It can only go up to 50% of the CDBG funds allotted. Next would be public facilities and infrastructure. Most of it is going to that, and allocation has been $265,587, and there is an amount including prior year resources of $350,000. Housing is $30,000 allocation, and acquisition and disposition is $20,000. Plans for next year. This is our 3rd year annual action plan. We are planning to focus on public services, resources to benefit the most vulnerable population, which is our senior citizens, our youth, and our homelessness persons that are around here. Next is housing. We plan to fund to support affordable housing, home buyer assistance, and other eligible activities in that category. And last but not least, public facilities and public infrastructure. An example would be the Arthur Street multi-modal bike pedestrian pathway, and this can include other eligible improvements that may come along. Summary of accomplishments, just to name a few. I won't name all of them, but Over 200 Caldwell residents are still housed through temporary emergency assistance payments. This is 70-plus households. We were also able to install doors for City Hall, Planning and Zoning, and the police station community room here that are now accessible. Lighting improvements at Lions Park. Home repairs for two senior households. Over 100 units of new multifamily workforce and senior housing. And 10 home buyers were assisted and 10 new home ownership homes. Altogether, these activities have leveraged approximately $15 million in additional investments into the city of Caldwell. And the last is current events. We are continuing to do the allocations of the CDBG COVID funding. There's approximately $322,059.15 left of those monies. And the funding has remained consistent over the years, and we are looking at hopefully getting more grant opportunities to expand the program because our community is constantly growing. And that's about it. Is there any questions?
Looks like Councilor Stoddard, I think, has a question. Go right ahead.
Yeah, Dominique, I guess the biggest question I have is how do we make a program work like this in the city of Caldwell when we're looking at maybe the lower priced homes are probably 300,000 plus? Properties in some of the better areas like off of 10th and Cumberland, they're going for 120 to 150,000 a lot. So, you know, to me, obviously it's not enough money, but how do you plan on making all that work in this kind of a market? That's what I'm saying.
Right. And then that's the other thing, we do look at the marketing or the market for housing. Carrie, can you help me on that question? Is she on there?
Yes, I'm here. And I guess it would be more of with our working with additional nonprofits and assistance with payment or down payment assistance for home buyers within that market. That would be something that we could or do utilize for the low moderate income families. And I guess it would just be with like what we get presented with at the time of an option to assist a home buyer.
Because when you're looking at the 20%, for instance, that's it's $60,000, which is a lot of money for low-income families based on the $300,000 minimum cost of housing. I don't think I'm too far off in that. So I don't see how they're going to come up with that money. I just don't.
Correct.
So what do we do to correct that, I guess, is a billion-dollar question.
Correct. And then, Carrie.
That is true.
Carrie, what is, can I ask past, how much have we attributed to helping them? How much, like about 10,000 per, what would be an average for home buyers?
So depending on, so depending on the income qualifications and verifications, like we've done 10,000 for households, we've done 15,000 for households for new home purchases for down payment assistance, basically. So.
Okay. So it doesn't cover all of it, but it does cover some of it, what we can and if they apply. And then I would like to go further, and if we can't completely fund it with my funds, my grant, find other options so we can get it completely funded for them. And that could be reaching out to other nonprofits or other agencies out there, because we do partner with 13 other agencies and help out.
The other question I have is, what's your interpretation or definition of blighted area? I mean, you can go on our north side here and there's some homes that are really run down. Would they be considered blighted areas, or what's your definition of blighted areas?
Carrie, do you want to take that one too? Because North End has been identified as obviously low mod income, but when it comes to slum and blighted, that is specific, and it has to be, like, it's not used very much, as a number one national objective. Carrie, can you elaborate on that, on what would be considered, how you would consider that?
Sorry. Right. So, we don't necessarily focus directly. Well, actually, Councilman Stoddard, that would be something that we could research for you and get you an answer on that one back. Because the slum and blight is kind of like broad, and so it would be more of like narrowing down of what you would want to see or what we could possibly do for slum and blight areas. I do know that it does have to be within the Caldwell city limits and some of that. So we would have to look for that information for you, and we can get to you on that.
Okay.
Is there any specific area that you would be interested
Well, if
in,
you start,
particularly?
you know where Mr. V's is at in 10th
Yeah.
Avenue.
Mhm.
If you would start from there and just go west, I mean, there's
Okay.
a lot of homes in there I would consider blighted, but
I can verify that for you if you
yeah,
want.
I mean,
Mm-hmm.
so, thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, thank you. Any other questions from any council? Yes, Councilor Allgood.
These funds, how does the public access them? Do they come directly to your office, or is there a middle person that you guys fund? How does, if the public was wanting assistance, how do they access these funds?
Carrie, can you elaborate on how in the past you've done this and how we might be going forward?
So usually, for access to have assistance for, say, rehab or something of that nature, it has just been to reach out to the CDBG person, and then we go through a process to establish what qualifies, if they do qualify, and go through research and then work with the resident if they do qualify. There's really nothing, I have had where Public Works has contacted me in regards to certain situations, which we can assist possibly sometimes. So just kind of, just the public would reach out to the CDBG person.
So they would come
Moving
to
forward,
City Hall and
and
And then, Carrie, in the past, haven't we helped, we have contractors that specialize in low-income housing. Haven't we helped contractors in the housing, in the building part to reduce costs?
Yes, we have. So we have worked not with contractors, but with Autumn Gold and New Beginnings, to assist with either acquisition or home buyers assistance with their and with, as well as they have worked with other entities for assistance to move forward with those programs. Sorry, I'm thinking. And so, and they're the subrecipients.
Yeah,
Of-
Autumn Gold is what I was thinking of.
Yeah, Autumn Gold. Yeah,
Thank you.
and we continue to work with them.
Councilor Stoddard?
Just one more,
Yeah.
comment, Mr. Mayor. If you could make, the definition, what's your definition of blighted areas, make it available to maybe to our city clerk, Mrs. Gyers, so
Sure.
she can email that to, the council members and the mayor, whoever wants to see it. Thank
Yeah,
you.
will do.
All right, okay. Any other questions? Okay, is Councilor McGee out there as well? Did he join us on Zoom? Not yet? Okay, very good. Okay, well, thank you so much. That is all, and
Thank you.
appreciate you being here, Dominique, and she is new to the city, and we're grateful to have her here. And Carrie, thank you so much as well for being here and being part of this.
You're very welcome.
Council.
Oh, he just joined us. Okay, very good. Perfect timing. Okay, excellent. So that concludes our workshop for this evening. So we will adjourn that. Again, workshops, no decisions are made. That is just opportunity to gather information and to move forward with those programs. I think it is on the agenda later this evening. So that concludes this, and we'll be back at 6 p.m. to begin our regular scheduled city council meeting.